Hello everyone. All right, so I'm wearing the same thing I just wore in my last video I uploaded. That's because we are filming this literally minutes later while this is still fresh in my mind. So today and yesterday actually, I rode Tron in the Magic Kingdom. I had my cast member preview and I got to ride it last night for the very first time at night. And then I got to ride it during the daytime this morning. And that's great. It's great. I really liked it. It was a little short for my liking. It should have been longer, but it was still really, really cool, especially if you like really smooth launch coasters. But today, the reason we are here recording this video is because I wanted to address the restraint situation on this ride. So basically, there's been a lot of talk and people, oh my gosh, my makeup. There's been a lot of talk from people about how restrictive this ride is for larger guests. Now, I am going to preface this by saying I do not speak for the Disney company in any way or any of its affiliates. And I will also oh my gosh, can't speak. Also say that never would Disney or any of its cast members ever recommend making yourself uncomfortable in order to get on a ride, as far as, you know, wearing restraints that are too tight or painful or anything like that. That is never recommended. Anything that I did personally for my experience to get on this ride was purely on me. That is me. That is what I chose to do, and none of the cast members would ever recommend, you know, putting yourself in a situation that is painful or uncomfortable, okay? So, I wanted to just start this video by saying that, okay? It's not a recommended thing to do. So, for me, for Tron, I will say that yes, I managed to ride it, and I rode it in the typical light cycle seats, which are the little motorcycle seats. For anyone who does not know, I highly recommend looking up like a video or photos of the ride vehicles to see how it looks and how the restraints work, because it's very unique. There is a special seating available on at least a couple of the trains in the very back, where it's not the typical light cycle where you're leaning forward like you're on the bike. Instead, you are sitting like upright, like a regular kind of roller coaster seat with the lap restraint. Now, that is available for guests who have, you know, disabilities, for whatever reason cannot ride the normal light cycle, whatever that is, okay? And that can include if you do not fit the restraints because of weight-related issues as well. So, for me personally, I will say that while I was able to ride and while I did make it work for myself, it was not easy at all. So, I'm going to give you my measurements and everything, so you know kind of how, like, where I'm coming from on this, because I feel like a lot of people haven't been talking about this. So for me, I'm not huge upper body, but I have always had very thick legs. My thighs are about 22 inches each, and my calves measure 18.5 inches each. My waist is about 41 inches right now. And while I am working on losing weight, my legs are kind of the last thing that lose weight overall. Now, this ride is not just dependent on, you know, you being a certain weight. It is not just dependent on you being a certain pant size. I personally wear anything from a 16 to an 18 in pants, depending on, you know, the general fit and brand and everything like that. But I have very thick calves and very thick thighs. Now, you can have people that are, you know, maybe heavier, can weigh like 100 plus pounds more, but will have a bigger upper body and slimmer legs. Or you might have somebody who is just, you know, very fit and not overweight and very, you know, muscular, that have a larger measurement in their calves because of muscle. You might have somebody who has a wider body, but they are more solid and less squishy, you know? There's so many variants that can affect how the restraints of any ride are going to fit somebody, okay? It's not like, you can't just listen to one person who says, hey, I weigh, 300 pounds and I fit fine, or I weigh 200 pounds and I didn't fit at all, or I wear a pant size 16 and you're never going to fit if you wear anything over a pant size 14. I've seen that around quite a bit. Don't go by that. That's why I want to put out here, my measurements, my specific measurements, and what I personally experienced, just in case any of you are like me. I'm only 5'2". I'm very, very short. Plus, I have the thicker legs. So that combination right there made it so that for me personally, I did not fit into that test vehicle at the front of the ride. Please, by the way, if you visit this ride, don't be afraid to utilize that seat. The cast members out there who are helping you get into that test vehicle are extremely patient. They're extremely kind. They're not there to make fun of you or judge you. I will say, unfortunately, this is something that a lot of people will ask about. The test vehicles are right in front of where the queue passes by. So unfortunately, you are testing the seat out in front of, many people who are able to see. It's, it is what it is, unfortunately. But I'm going to be honest about that. But the cast member out there is incredibly kind. So for me, what happens, this is how it works, basically. You step over the bike and you are kneeling down onto these like knee pad type like things that kind of go from like just under your knee down your shin, and they move slightly. They give into your weight. Now from there you reach forward, you grab onto the handlebars out in front of you, and you pull them towards you. And what happens is the first mechanism are these leg bars that go right behind like your calves and your thighs, like between, like behind your knees. Those pull forward, and they have to go forward far enough for the back restraint to then slide towards your body. Now, if you're like me and you have thicker thighs and thicker calves, for me, the bars hit like before my calf goes up to the thickest point, it hit that point, and because of that, it didn't want to move anymore, and the back restraint would not come down because the leg bar has to move forward to a certain point before it'll allow the back restraint to come down. Now, the cast member out there gave me a lot of tips. He said it's a little bit easier if you're able to maneuver and get your leg at a 90-degree angle as far as like your thigh and then your shin. So 90 degrees, you want those knees bent at a 90-degree angle, and that gives the best chance of that bar sliding forward a little more easily. That's the tip he gave me. Unfortunately for me, I am not only very short, but like I said, my thighs are very thick, and your thighs are in like this space, like this little, I don't know, contraption thing where you're like fitting them down into it and then kneeling. And unfortunately, they were kind of squished in there, so I could not get my legs at a 90-degree angle. But what finally worked for me, he did say, this is up to the cast member's discretion. It should be. And they typically do not, force the restraints down on you. They don't even touch them. They give you all the tips that you will need to maneuver everything yourself and, get yourself in there, but they are not going to force anything down for you or do anything that could hurt you. That being said, he said that if I felt comfortable and that this is something I could do, I could reach behind me, and that you can grab onto the back restraint and pull it down towards your body. This is where I want to give a warning. If you do that and you have thicker legs, you should not be doing it if it's starting to cause you any pain, because what that does when you pull that back restraint down is that forces that leg pin to go beyond where it normally would on your body. Now it's forcing it forward behind your knees. It's forcing it over, your skin or, your calf against what it naturally would, just using the handlebars to pull it down. Now, yes, the cast member will say if this is painful, don't do it. If you choose to do it, that's on you. For me, this is a choice I made. I pulled the back restraint towards me and I got it to lock in place. Now, I will say it was not comfortable. It was not comfortable. It was fairly painful in my left leg especially. I'm not sure what the difference is there, or if it's the fact that I keep turning like to my right hand side to maneuver to get the back restraint down, that my left leg was shifting a little bit and it kept getting caught in a different position. My right leg, I could feel my toe touching the bottom, like near the base of the wheel behind my legs, behind my feet. And that leg was fairly comfortable, even though the bar was, still touching and kind of pressing down on my calf. It wasn't painful. My left leg, however, it squished in there and pinched, and it was not very pleasant at all. And honestly, there's no other way around it other than, obviously, I've got to get healthier and lose some weight. Hold on, my cat's jumping up here. I've got to lose some weight. I've got to get healthier, which is what I'm working on. If you've been following this channel at all, that's what I've been working on. But, that being said, it's the only way I could ride, and I did it. And I was secured in there. It wasn't like popping out of place where I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like fall out of this ride because I've just forced this restraint on me in a way that it shouldn't be, and it's about to like come undone. It wasn't like that, but it is snug enough to be definitely uncomfortable. Now, I've seen other Disney vloggers, YouTubers talk about this, and it seems like many of them had very similar experiences to me. I do have some lovely markings and bruises on my calf and on the outer side of my calf, like on the outside of my leg, from the restraints. Once again, not the fault of, the cast members there or anything like that. This is a personal choice that I made to, be a little less comfortable to get myself on the ride, which is exactly why those cast members are never going to, force you in there like that. Cast members don't want to hurt you. I certainly hope not. And that's why they don't want to, force you in. I know some people will ask the cast members, hey, can you push this down on me? Can you make this work for me? But they really shouldn't. And like 100% they shouldn't. It shouldn't be on them to do that. If you want to try doing it, if you want your family member to try doing it for you, like I said, not recommended at all, but that does come down to it being your choice to do that, okay? It is not anybody's fault but your own if you get hurt or are, uncomfortable on the attraction if you so decide to do something like this. So, but yes, for me, my calves were the main issue. I did not feel the bar actually touching my thighs, even though my thighs were thicker. My thighs played more of a role of not allowing me to be at the 90-degree angle that would have helped. But as far as what the bar was actually touching and pressing against, it is purely on the sides of my calves, right? So 18.5 inches, struggled. So yeah, that's why I wanted to kind of talk about this, because I feel like, I'm hearing too much of it's a one size fits all, or like if I can do this, anyone can do this, or if I can't do this, nobody else can do this. And that's just not it at all. I've also heard the argument that, hey, yeah, I can fit on Flight of Passage. And if you can ride that ride, you can definitely ride this ride. That's also not the case. I can ride Flight of Passage, no issue at all. I never felt pain on my legs or anything like that riding that attraction. Aside from, like, I put my feet up on my tippy toes a little bit to pull my calves inward just to make sure that the little leg pins on that attraction snap into place. But, there's no, like, pressure against my legs or anything like that. This is the first attraction that I've ever ridden within Disney that I've had this issue with. And hopefully, as I get healthier and I lose weight, this won't be as much of an issue anymore. But like I said, it does not just come down to weight either. You're going to have a lot of people who are very fit, healthy, just have muscular calves that are going to have issues like this. And I know another group of people that are having a hard time are people who are taller, or people who could just have really, really long legs, you know, things like that. So yeah, that's the gist of what I wanted to say. Back restraint wasn't an issue at all for me or for most people as far as I could see. It's very much forgiving, it seems, if you are just bigger in your upper body and not so much in your legs. In the back restraint, it comes down to an extent, but it kind of rocks back and forth, so it didn't feel like tight on your body or anything like that. I like that. Like if I wanted to tilt myself a little bit upward so I could make sure I could look forward in a certain way, it was not uncomfortable to do so. I mean, unless you have, you know, other back issues or hip issues and things like that that are pre-existing, obviously, you know, you can have discomfort on something like this. It's just a very different type of position that it's putting you into. So I definitely recommend for anybody who's worried about this, regardless of who you are, what the condition is that you have, test out those test vehicles. Please don't let the people in the queue intimidate you. Just focus on getting yourself comfortable in that vehicle, making sure you are okay. You know, communicate with that cast member. Like I said, they're going to be very helpful. They were for me. And that's just the best way to do it, because I'd much rather be testing the test vehicle in front of people in the queue and, you know, making sure that I feel confident about riding than trying just when I get to the ride and then having all the people waiting behind me to get on the attraction while I don't fit and I have to get off. And that for me, like, ugh, like it sucks. It sucks no matter who you are. That sucks. But yeah, much easier just to do it on the test vehicle. Just try it. I'm telling you, just try it. And yeah, that's basically it. I will insert a picture here, hopefully. The marks I had on my leg after the attraction, because I've seen other people complain about this as well. Let this be a warning not to force yourself in if you're not comfortable or not willing to deal with the discomfort of making that decision to do that. But yes, for me, it was possible, just not comfortable. Okay? So don't push it if you feel like it's going to cause you pain, or if you feel like, you know, you're like going to lose circulation in your feet or anything like that. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's a ride. It's a Disney World ride. It's really cool, but it's not worth that. Just ride the vehicle in the back. Ride that special seating, and I'm sure you're going to still enjoy the ride, and you're going to have a whole lot less discomfort, okay? And yeah, that's basically it. Hope that was helpful for anybody who is kind of wondering about the attraction or having anxiety about it. I know I was before getting there. And if you have any more questions about it that maybe I'll be able to answer, then feel free to ask below. I do have a video that I have to edit, and it's for the preview that will show, you know, the experience there. And I do address the restraint situation as well in that video a little bit, because it had just happened and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So, but yeah, that's that. And I hope everyone's doing well and staying healthy and happy. And I will see you all again very soon. Bye.